Hello, myself Sunil R Nair. Here basically we are discussing the topic that is cities creation. In this basically we are discussing about the Oxford University. So let's see the video basically.
The building really helps our goals. It has these spaces that we use to have the 3-minute thesis, to have the tea breaks, which are very important, and the patio lounge at the top. These have all helped build a culture that we can then use to develop new ideas. I'm so proud of the young people in this institute. They've done amazingly, and they've won prizes, they've gone off and won further grants, they've secured great positions. I'm delighted by the success of the many people that we've sponsored in this institute. Bringing people together is the thing that makes the difference. Being interconnected is about being in the same space, meeting people every day, not just walking over and occasionally trying to establish a collaboration. The last couple of years we've really accelerated and grown at pace. We have people looking at Parkinson's disease, we have people using machine learning and movement and tracking of single molecules and pathogens, bringing about new tech.
साल का एंड करें जबरदस्त डील्स और डिस्काउंट्स के साथ क्योंकि जियो मार्ट लाया है द ग्रैंड फिनाले सेल 22 दिसंबर से 31 दिसंबर।
See the Oxford group basically. See the Oxford group basically. So like this basically this is about the Oxford group basically. They basically have Facebook also basically. They have in Twitter data also basically. See the Twitter also basically. Oxford Twitter basically. See Oxford Twitter. Now see Facebook Twitter also. Facebook also basically they have the data. See basically. So like this basically they have each and every things basically connected with the Oxford basically. And they basically one just basically we played the Oxford University data, right? Basically at that time basically they basically played the geo basically. So they say that basically we have connection with the geo also basically, that is the Reliance basically. So because if Oxford basically data is on playing basically, and the geo basically data is coming in the advertising, that means they have done the tie-up with the Oxford University basically. That whenever the Oxford of video basically anybody is watching basically, so you can track that basically and give the information to the Oxford group basically that this person basically was watching basically the videos. So like this basically they do the advertising of the product also, and then basically they get the information also. Sorry, they give the information also that basically this particular person has watched the Oxford University, and this person has basically not watched the Oxford University, and this person basically skipped the advertising. Like this, lots of information they passes basically. Like this basically, this comes to the business and sales basically. That basically is a different topic basically that we will discuss later on. So here basically it's the Oxford group basically. See basically the Oxford group basically. This all are the Oxford group basically. This group basically are connected up to this basically. They are basically giving the one data basically that connects into the 3150 age. So one person basically who are basically, so just imagine the owner of the Microsoft basically. What would be his age basically? He is basically giving 3150 age. Then what would be his age basically? What age basically he is going to have a life? That's why basically whenever the power supply company basically gives the death data basically, that basically already we had discussed the earthquake and the death data, then immediately basically the group basically contacts with the power company, and then basically they say that basically my data is basically there. Then they say that yes basically your data is also basically there. So give the antibiotic of the data basically. So they basically gets the antibiotic and they basically pay the amount basically. So just see basically the depth level also basically. So just see basically 3150 is the age basically which Microsoft Corporation, that is the Microsoft blood cells basically gives to the human basically, who basically consume. So 200 crore people basically are going to get 315 age basically. And one of the person to that Microsoft basically feels basically that this person basically is not suiting to the Microsoft blood cells, then they remove the blood cells also. Up to that basic power, because it's a owner na, basically. Microsoft is the owner basically. So he have the rights basically to add Microsoft blood cells and to remove Microsoft blood cells. So this comes to the dangerous part also basically, that basically if he is removing basically anybody's any from the the Microsoft blood cells from the anybody bodies basically, and what are the chain basically connected, so each and everything basically you have to remove. So that's very dangerous basically, you are doing very dangerous thing basically. So that basically is very difficult, that basically you have to do very carefully, because it's already connected basically each and every blood. For example, Microsoft his blood cells is also there in the one of the body, and SAP blood cells is also in the one of the body. They basically merged inside the body basically. But you have the data basically, that is Microsoft roadmap basically, that data you have basically. So you know basically where the Microsoft chain basically can go and it connect to the each and every blood cells basically. So you have the data basically, but you don't have the data of SAP basically. SAP roadmap basically data also you should require basically, so that basically in future basically anybody say that basically your Microsoft data roadmap basically has entered in our SAP data basically. So that type of problem basically nobody can. So nobody suppose not if anybody is asking, then basically you can easily able to give the answer basically, that see basically this is our roadmap basically, how basically we can enter in your roadmap basically, tell basically. It might possible that some conflict basically might be happen. Same roadmap basically might have given by the some person basically, but that other thing basically never happens. But inside body basically it might happen basically. Why? Because it's inside basically body, blood cells basically can connect to each other and both basically can get conflict basically. But in environment basically also conflict basically might happen basically. Environment also basically conflict basically might happen basically, because the energies basically are moving in the environment also, and when they will do the process basically, that also becomes in, they are also basically doing the merging process, that is the integration process basically they are doing basically. So like that time basically also things basically is possible basically, but this type of thing basically never happens basically, but then also possibilities basically are there basically. So 35 words basically created Microsoft Corporation blood cells, that basically is going to give 3150 age basically of one human body basically. So you can just imagine the Microsoft power, and you can imagine the power of the Oxford University basically. They have given the 35 words, and the combination of that basically we have already discussed. 35 words creation, then the body parts, then basically the birth basically, then basically the each and everything basically, the combinations of the projects also basically we have taken. So that basically is the thing basically. So you can just imagine the things basically. So medicines basically we have also discussed. According to the disease basically the medicine basically comes into the picture. That also basically we have discussed. We have discussed that also, that how basically Microsoft is going to merge with this all softwares basically, and how basically they are not going to conflict with each other. If conflict basically will happen basically in future, then basically how they are going to exit from that conflict. So this basically connects to the political matter basically, that is the how basically the Microsoft politics basically is Microsoft energy is connecting to the Microsoft politics, the politics Microsoft, SAP politics, C++ politics, COBOL politics, each and every politics. So in next video basically we are going to see how basically the politics works here basically of the Microsoft blood cells, and how basically the political department basically, that is the political group basically, governments handles the Microsoft blood cells, and how basically they create the story of the Microsoft blood cells into the political environment basically.